I am Rabbi Nathan Davidovich, speaking to you on behalf of the webyeshiva.org, speaking to you from Efrat, Israel. I'm going to talk about this week's Parsha, this week's Torah reading, just one part of the Torah reading I will talk about. And I'm going to talk about the Torah reading, which is Parsha Toldot. And what I'm going to discuss in this short Devar Torah is the concept of how we should not despair and give up hope at the length of time it seems to take till we see God answering our prayers. We know that God has a plan, but some of us are very impatient and we want things right now. For example, a very difficult situation that many people go through is the process of finding their soulmate. Some people spend years and they finally wonder, am I ever going to find my soulmate in marriage? So we learn a very important lesson from this week's Parsha. And the Parsha says as follows. And we learn from this that everything that is supposed to happen will in fact happen at the right time, at the designated time. It's not our calendar, it's God's calendar. So the Torah begins, Vayhi Yitzchak ben Rabbi Shana, v'kachtu es Rivka, bas Besuel. Yitzchak, Isaac, was 40 years old when he took Rivka, the daughter of Besuel, from Padan Aram, lo leisha, for him to a wife. And it could have said leisha without the word lo, to him. And we know that the Torah doesn't use extra language for anything, so there's got to be a reason if there's an extra word. First of all, we have to put it in the context of marriage, of how God helps people find their shidduch, find the person that they're meant to marry. We have a statement in Gemara Sota that says, Amar Rabba bar bar Chana, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Kashi lezugo kriyas yamsuf. Rabba bar bar Chana said, in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, that it is as difficult to find a match, to find a soulmate for somebody else, as it was for God splitting the sea when we left Egypt. Which seems like a very strange thing. What should be difficult for God? But it says it's a difficult thing. And those who have spent years trying to find their soulmate would understand that, yes, there's difficulty. But then the question is raised by the Orach Chaim, the Holy Orach Chaim of Chaim Atar. Why does this sentence add that word lo? That adds the word to him. It should have just said he found a wife. So the extra word teaches us something. Also the fact, what difference does it make that Yitzchak was 40 years old when he found his wife? When the other forefathers are mentioned and their marriages are mentioned, not one of them is referred to by a specific age, saying Abraham was so and such an age, Jacob was such and such an age. It doesn't occur. Why in this case? And what the Orach Chaim says is the message is to tell us the age of Yitzchak so we can understand why he married so late. And the answer that he gives is that he had to wait for Rivka to be born before it was time for him to have a shidduch, to find his soulmate. Up until that time, there was no person existing in the world that would be fitting for him, that would have been designated by God. So the Torah tells us that there's a delay. that is built in, at least in terms of our view, our eyes, as to what Hashem is doing. Now, there is a very, very interesting comment, Torah that I saw by Rabbi that really brings this point home. And taking off on that sentence I said before, that it's as hard to find a match for somebody as is to split the sea. It happened once that a sultan in Istanbul many years ago was talking to one of the sages at the time, and he said, "What is your Torah? Why do you people think it's so hard to match somebody up with somebody else?" He says, "It's easy. I can do it simply. It takes nothing at all. I'm sure I could do it. I can arrange a marriage with anybody, and it'll work out." So the rabbis told him, "Good, okay, you're welcome to try, but I guarantee you won't succeed." So what did he do? So the Sultan took up this challenge, and he wrote two different pieces of paper. One he wrote and he gave to a specific minister in his government, and the paper said basically, "You are going to have a woman come to you, and she's going to present a paper that says, 'You are to marry me.' And when that happens, you must marry her, and as a reward, I will give you an untold amount of riches." So he gave that to this particular minister. Then he went around his kingdom searching for a beautiful young woman that he could give the other half of the note to. And he found such a girl. And the girl was following the orders of the Sultan, and he gives her a note, which says, it's addressed to the minister, and says, "You must marry the person giving you this note, the woman giving you this note, you must marry." What happened? The young girl is on the way to the Sultan to be given in marriage, and on the way she comes across an old lady who is just struggling for her last ounce of food in this world, has nothing at all. And she's begging for something to sustain her. So the young girl thinks, I can do this woman a great favor, a great mitzvah. I'll give her the note, and she'll go, and then she'll be rich. So she gives the woman the note. The woman goes and meets up with the minister. Sometime later, the Sultan throws a party, and he has all these delicacies on the table, and he sees this minister, and everybody's eating from all the delicacies, and here the minister is just taking those things that he could eat without chewing them. And the Sultan asks him, "Why? Why aren't you taking all these wonderful delicacies?" And he says, "Because I have to bring them to my wife, and unfortunately she's so old, she has no teeth, she can't chew." So then the Sultan sees what happened. He goes back to the rabbis and he said, "You're right. Your Torah is correct." The message we learn from this is that there's a Hebrew word, savlanut, patience. We need to have patience. We need to have patience to let God fulfill what God is going to fulfill at the right time. We shouldn't give up. Our prayers are important. As we say every morning in the prayers, Kavi al Hashem chazak v'ametz libech v'kavi al Hashem, as my father Olav Shalom said, hope to Hashem and be strong And if Hashem doesn't answer your prayers at first, don't give up. Hope to Hashem. Keep hoping in Hashem. That is our job to do. I bless us all to have the emunah, the faith, to hope in Hashem and see that Hashem will do what is going to happen. Hashem doesn't lose patience. We lose patience. Let's work on our patience. Thank you for listening on behalf of the webyeshiva.org. I wish everybody a Shabbat Shalom.